अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिल करीम. Since last week, I think, to a couple of weeks, we had started discussing a new series, and the topic is statecraft and art of governance from Quran. I'm repeating this intro because during the course of our last discussion, I had a feeling that perhaps it again needs reintroduction. We talk of hikmat, and hikmat has been mentioned separately in the job description of the Prophet, that he performs tilawat, he performs tazkiyah of the people, and then he teaches hikmat and kitab. Hikmat. So, hikmat is not only limited to zikr, fikr, salat, zakat, hajj. Hikmat is the art of organizing one's own life, entire nafs, and then organizing anfusahum, the entire group, the community, the society, the state. Now, these are the concepts which I have developed over a period of time. For example, the state structures, they were not sent in the Quran. They are not there, that what is the parliament, how the parliament should be formed, how the elections should be held, what are the pillars of a state. Now, these are the structures which have developed over a period of time. It is in evolutionary progress in the field of political science, economics, and so many other fields like physical sciences. There is an evolutionary development in the field of other social sciences. And one of them is statecraft and art of governance. Now, these have not been prescribed in the book in one sentence or in one paragraph or in one ayat. They had to be, and they had to be. They had to be evolved over a period of time. What we are discussing is, and what I am pointing out is, that over a period of time, 1500 years, we have not evolved certain institutions, and not evolved from Quran, not evolved on the basis of the hikmat from Quran. In the first few hundred years, about 500 years period, there was evolution of these ulum also, of these sciences also. But after that, that is, since about last 1000 years, our evolutionary progress, rather any progress in these fields, has stopped, and we are deteriorating. That is why we are facing innumerable challenges around the world. The entire community, entire Ummah is facing. This is the issue. And one of these, the problems which I had taken, because I cannot take up all these problems at a time. In order to have the practical impact, I had started discussing just one point, and that was charity. We are treating charity as a religious duty. Yes, it is. We are treating zakat as a charity. But we have not further evolved it in the light of even its root word. And we have not evolved it in the light of the ayat of Quran, that what are the instructions about zakat and about the charity as a subject of Quran. and zakat as a means, as a tool of increasing the economic welfare. That is the meaning of the word zakat, to increase. At individual level, how to increase the economic and social status, social welfare of a person, of an individual, and at the collective level, how to increase the society's socio-economic indicators, how to evolve them, how to increase them. This is the purpose of zakat. And in this regard, I had pointed out certain ayat of Quran that in this regard, again, I'm taking only one point. I had one point, taken one point, that is haqqal malum. We have not evolved the process of concept of zakat around this haqqal malum, around the haqq right, a notified right, malum, a known right which has been constitutionalized, which has been put in the law, that as an individual and a society, in a state or in a country or in a group or in a territory, they can demand it as their right, individual and collectively also. So in this respect, I had pointed out that why we have not done this, because this subject has not evolved with time. We are still treating it as a charity, whereas it had to evolve as a haqqal malum. It had to evolve as the constitutional responsibility, as a legal responsibility, as a philosophical responsibility of the sociology, economics, political science, and the art of governance. And it should have developed further from stage to stage. And as an example, I was trying to show that other people, for example, in the West, they have done it step by step. For example, they first defined what is right. Once they defined the right, they started discussing it during the periods of what they call enlightenment, renaissance, revolutions, and other things. They started discussing what are the rights, what are human rights, and then they defined what is an individual right and what is a public right. And when I'm discussing I'm making any reference to, say, any book or any judgment or any law, at that point, I'm not discussing the entire subject of education on that point. I'm just picking up a point from that judgment or a law or a corpus of law or any judgment in order to strengthen my argument on one point, that is haqqal malum. That charity is not, zakat is not just a charity, it is a right. It is a right of the mustahiq. And the law has incorporated in the West as the right of the people. And how it developed, first they developed the rights, understanding of the rights, and then they differentiated between the individual right and the public right. It took time. It has taken centuries. But during last 1,000 years, we have not done that. And once they came to the point of public right, they started differentiating between the public right and public welfare, then public welfare and social welfare. And from social welfare, gradually they came to the point of social security. So the charity now in the West is combination of two things. The charity as a tax. Zakat is a tax. It is not just alms, it is not just charity, it is a tax, because Abu Bakr said, I'll fight for this. The state will fight for this. It is our responsibility. So they have treated in the West the component of expenditure in the budget that goes as charity, which we call charity, but they don't call it charity, they call it social welfare. They call it social security. And they recover it, they mobilize it through taxation Also, I say also. This is the evolution which has taken place in the West, that today, from this social security, they ultimately evolved in the 20th century. The concept of a state had started evolving. State. Concept of a state was not there right from the beginning. Then when the concept of a state was fully grown, then by that time, the concept of welfare had also fully developed. Now they mixed these things together. Now the evolution of two things came together and they evolved a concept of welfare state. But we have not done that. I am just trying to explain the process or the progress or the journey of the sociology which has taken charity from its base level to the level of the state where it is respectable for everybody to claim that it is my right to have a social welfare state, and they decide through their vote. They demand through this right through their court, and the court implements it as Haqq al-Malum. Yes, it is the known right in the constitution. It is known right in the law. This is the point which I am making, I'm trying to make, that we have failed on that. That is why still the charity is in the hands of a few religious people, and they are treating it as charity, not as the part of the state, as a social welfare state. Now, I'll proceed further this from here. I had discussed some of these things earlier, but I have repeated it in order just to make the point clear that what we are discussing. We are not discussing any specific judgment or any law or any corpus of law. Now we have come to the point where social welfare, and this will ultimately become social security, and this will be incorporated into the welfare state. And then from the state, I will also go back, and from history, I will trace that how this has evolved side by side in the history. The concept has always remained there. It is not a new concept which the West has brought in there. It has initially emerged from religion, and then it has initially developed, evolved from the civilizations. With the progress of the civilizations, it progressed. But when the civilizations went down, then this concept also went also drowned. And then there was a period of dark ages. The modern history shows that there was a period of dark ages in which we forgot about all these things. And then in the period of Renaissance, when everything was renewed, these concepts have again come up. I'll show that. Now, social welfare means also the well-being of the individual and the community. If the individual is demanding well-being, health, it is Haqq al-Malum. It is now his right or her right if she is demanding maternity. There are maternal deaths taking place, but the women fought for this and they got it approved. In 2005, in Islamabad Declaration, in the International Ulama Conference, the reproductive right of women, the reproductive right includes the gynecological health. It includes the right to reproduction, and it includes the right to reproductive health. And that reproductive health has been recognized as the right of the women in the Islamabad Declaration 2005, given by the International Ulama Conference in 2005, and again repeated in 2006, supported by the UNFPA of the United Nations. This is evolution. This is taking place, but very slowly. We still, our ulama are not taking it as a part of the social process and economic process or political process as Haqq al-Malum, as the part of constitutionalism. Now, it is individual and community. Social welfare encompasses various dimensions, including economic, social, that contribute to quality of productive and self-determined life. I have the right to make the quality of my life better, and I have to determine myself. I can't leave it. For example, I'm giving one example. To some states, they say that you should have only one child. Now, but it is an individual right. It is recognized that I have to determine, the woman has to determine. Allah has provided spacing in the Quran. She has to determine. Husband and wife together, they have to determine. The family has to determine. At this point, it may, although be a digression, you may look like a digression, but from my experience of counseling, and when any case came for counseling, I just not left it just listening to them and saying something. I went into deeper research into this. Something horrific is happening, particularly in the West, because of these illogical, unscientific approaches to the family life, to the married life, to the couple life. Sanctified marriage is in danger. Humanity is in danger. Social, I'm not discussing now a social point. I'm now repeating, and you kindly check up. Don't believe me, check up. Fertility rate of women in the West is dropping. It's not only because that they are refusing to marry early or they are refusing to marry at all. Women are refusing to marry, or they say that marriages are taking are taking place late. Not only that, I'm talking of scientific reason. Fertility rate in the West is dropping. Now, this is so far as the women are concerned. Fertility rate is discussed along with reference to the women, but with reference to the men, their fertility, their fertilizing power is diminishing. Testosterone, the count of testosterone is dropping. About 2.5% since 1973, the count is dropping. Count is going down. Male count, sperm count, let me be clear, is dropping. 2.5% every year, almost, averagely, from 1973. The fertility rate is dropping. Some people say it may be climate, it may be something, it may be scientific. There are other socio-economic reasons also. Where are we? We don't understand these things. We are not analyzing these things. This is a very serious issue. I've written a book on this, but I don't think people have read it, that humanity is facing not only a challenge, but a grave danger, threat at the hands of modernity, so far as the marriage is concerned. I leave it this point here. I'm going further, but this is another side. But even if a digression, I thought that it is very important to point this out, and you can conduct your own research in this regard. Is it zakat, or is what we call charity, social welfare? Can this be treated? Can this be looked after by the institutions of zakat? And why not? Is not the reproductive health of women a haqqal malum? Is not the family welfare haqqal malum? I'm leaving the questions for you to tackle. It's up to you. Social welfare policy, once it was developed, refers to laws. Laws. We have not made laws. We have left this topic of social welfare as charity in the hands of a few religious demagogues. Social welfare policy refers to laws, rules, programs, etc. If the laws are not there, rules are not there, programs are not there, it means there is no policy. There is no policy. Of what? Of the government. of the state to provide for basic needs and well-being of the citizens. Maternal deaths are taking place every minute. More maternal deaths are taking place in Pakistan than Afghanistan. Who is responsible for this? Is this right of the women not hakal malum? And can this right be treated as the welfare right of the women of the human beings? And we segregate, we divide charity just to create beggars. We are enlarging the list of beggars every time without any policy, without any program. Social welfare programs, and my emphasis after the policy is on program. Social welfare programs, income support, unemployment benefits, disability support, pensions, etc., are now in the civilized countries' constitutions, hakal malum. They can demand it through law, and the courts can enforce it. And this has been done through taxation. Zakat is a form of taxation. It is not a charity. Welfare state. Now, from this, we are moving towards the welfare state. Next evolution. Welfare state refers to a state in which policies, programs, and institutions protect and promote. Not only promote, but protect also. Protect the rights of women, protect the rights of children, protect the rights of the old, feeble people, weak people. They also promote their rights. Today it's one, tomorrow can be two. Promote, develop. Economic and social well-being, mental well-being, health of its citizens based upon what? Based upon principles of equal opportunity. When we make laws, then only we'll be able to think of these things. Equal opportunity. What are we doing with zakat? Have you seen the trucks of food coming? We are witnessing these scenes in Gaza. These scenes are not only happening in Gaza, but these are happening in the Muslim countries. Particularly during floods, during earthquakes. When the trucks of foods are sent, they are attacked. And they throw the food from the trucks, and people fight over every small shopper or every small bag of food thrown at them, as we throw bones to the dogs. Because we have not evolved any process, any law, we have not streamlined it. We have not created an equal opportunity so that everybody gets everything at the doorstep. As Umar delivered on his back, he carried and he delivered. What does that mean? Every state leader or every prime minister, president can't do that. That was the back, not of Umar, it was the back of the state. The state has to carry through its own means these materials and matters of well-being on its back, transported and delivered at the doorsteps, not that the people come and attack the trucks or the bones are thrown at them. Equal opportunity, equitable distribution of wealth. Unless the equitable distribution of wealth is not done, the requirement of the Quranic law, urzuku, has been used not only for akraba, not only for qurba, but even for masakin. And it has been mentioned at the time of Hazar al-Maut, when the chart of distribution, Hazar al-Kismat, chart of distribution is prepared, Hazar al-Kismat. Anything which appears on the chart, if they appear on the chart, they have a right, hakal malum. In the wealth of the person who has died, in the inheritance, it is not only the right of the eldest son or some family members, there is also some right of the mustaqin. who deserve. And then public responsibility. Now, these are the principles of equal opportunity. Make a program in such a manner that the state carries that bag of grain like Umar and delivers at the doorstep as an equitable distribution of wealth as a public responsibility. If they fail, they should be can be taken to the court. They can be taken to the standing committee of the parliament. They can be taken to the parliament. They can be taken to account during the elections. But this is not happening because it is not treated as public responsibility. Zakat is not being treated as a public responsibility for the development, economic development, for the welfare development, for the development of the welfare state, and institutional accountability. Many times there have been, people come there at the MRC also and they ask for charity. Very good job. They are doing very good job, excellent job. I appreciate. Everybody appreciates. But whenever there is an individual question of individual contribution, at that time, I have always been suggesting that must contribute only when you find that there is an institutional accountability. If there is no institutional accountability in that person or in that organization, it may be doing an excellent job, but how long? During the life of that person only, for example, or beyond that, how long? There are many organizations in different Muslim countries who have collapsed after the person who established he died. Institutional accountability must be instituted in that in that organization. Otherwise, they don't deserve it. They claim that we have done everything, but what about the institutional accountability? Why don't they institute the open, transparent accountability system? For example, audit and everything. Not just appointing an auditor, but the responsibility of accountability to provide for basic needs of good life. This is the responsibility. All welfare states entail some degree of public-private partnerships. Now, it is here where the government and the private sector, they join hands. Those who mobilize funds privately and the state which mobilize funds by taxation, they come together. They don't go in different directions. They don't create the political teams or political teams of beggars, not just for showing. They team together, they work for the goals. For example, as I said, then I'll come to history. It has always been there. It started with religion. Welfare, concept of welfare from charity developed into welfare in history. But we forgot at a certain point, and then it re-emerged and we forgot. And then ultimately it has come through the Renaissance, and now it is with the West. But after some time, when they decline, we will forget it again. Emperor Ashoka of India, 3rd century BC, he envisioned his dharma, Buddhism. Before turning to Buddhism, he was not Buddhist. It was after the Kalinga War, which affected him, which impacted him, that he turned to Buddhism. In Kalinga War at that time, 3rd century BC, he had killed about 1 lakh people. Population of the world was very small. And population of the Indian subcontinent was small. And 1 lakh people at that time, that impacted him. He turned to Buddhism. And then through his dharma, through his religion, he adopted a state policy. This is what the history shows. And how the history shows? Through his edicts. He used to get his orders inscribed as edicts on the stones, on the mountains. to adopt the state policy. And in that, what he said, all men are my children. This is what the Bible says. This Ashoka said that all people are my children. Whatever exertion I make, whatever effort I make, I strive only to discharge my debt. This is a debt from God on my shoulders. This is a loan on my shoulders as an emperor, and I have to discharge that loan. I owe this to all the living creatures, not just men or women. Umar also said this. I owe a debt to the dog. If he dies thirsty, hungry, along the Nile River, this is the sign of the great thinkers, administrators, philanthropic leaders. This is what Ashoka said. His welfare policies included what at that time? Treatment of people. The Quran says this. Prisoners, Quran says this. Get the neck of the people freed. Beasts, animals, even this entire entire planet has been designed for the animals, also for the animals. And provision of shady groves. Sher Shah Suri did this on the Grand Trunk Road. Wells, orchards, Prophet peace be upon him did it in Medina. Muslims did it during their first years of rule. Rest houses. Ashoka prohibited useless sacrifices. What the Islam did. Quran prohibited anything which is sacrificed in the name of, in any name, on any stone. Anything which is sacrificed except for God. And that also from the halal category. In the halal manner. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala substituted the cruel tradition of the people right from the days of Habil and Kabil. Cain and Habil and Kabil. When they used to throw the sacrifice and devour it through the fire. There is a mention in Quran. This is what is called Holocaust. People used to burn their own children and they thought it was their sacrifice. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Tarka of Ibrahim alayhi salam, he substituted it. That if you want to sacrifice for me and not human beings, not anything, but only something which has been prescribed and in the prescribed manner, in a moderate, in a prescribed manner, as a sacrifice. At that time, Ashoka prohibited useless sacrifices and certain forms of gatherings. Not all types of gatherings, certain types of gatherings. In Islam, we allow congregation for namaz, and Hajj is allowed, congregations are allowed, gatherings allowed, but not all sorts. You can gather for a purpose of God, which led to waste, indiscipline, and superstition. Anything which leads to superstition, Ashoka banned that gathering. No gathering on the shrines, on the graves, and the dhamals, on the dances which are taking place every night. I am repeating, every night, on the hundreds of thousands of graves in the Muslim world. Hundreds of thousands of graves in the Muslim world every night. And the indiscipline which is taking place there, the drugs which are being sold there, and the waste that is taking place. His officials, Ashoka's officials, ensured that people of various sects were treated fairly. Then we come to Emperor Wen of China. I think I stop here. From here, we'll go to other places also. That how this was evolved in different civilizations. When Ashoka's civilization declined, in Maurya dynasty, from Chandragupta Maurya, we come to Ashoka. From Ashoka, we come to the last emperor, Brihadratha, and he was killed by Pushyamitra, the Hindu chief of army staff, who killed the emperor Brihadratha, like Anwar Sadat was killed in Egypt, almost in the same manner. And after that, this civilization went down. And after that, these traditions of social welfare, state welfare, they declined and they ultimately vanished. We will start with China just to show that how the history, it has gone into history. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzat amma yasifun wa salamun alal mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين. اللهم اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم اكفنا بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عمن سواك. اللهم بفضلك ورحمتك أعلي كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم انصر الإسلام وعز المسلمين يا أكرم الأكرمين. Oh Allah, spread your mercy upon us. Shower us with your blessings. Increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, purify our hearts, strengthen our faith, increase our knowledge, and make us benefit from what you have taught us. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves garden from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. Oh Allah, grant to all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, grant us the power and the ability that we may be grateful for the favors you have bestowed upon us and our parent, and that we may do righteous deeds that are pleasing to you. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we seek refuge in you from incapacity, from laziness, from fear, from greed, from poverty, and from the torment of the grave. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren who are living under oppression and injustice. Oh Allah, heal their trauma, protect their helpless, and grant them lasting peace and prosperities. Oh Allah, we ask with every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weaknesses have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.